All right, audio check. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. I got this weird issue where Xtreme keeps canceling out my mic. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Generic. Moisen. Is that how you pronounce it? Moisen. Vicus. How you guys doing? Oh, yeah. Hey, guys. So I'm mad late to the game on this one. I've been doing some moving and stuff like that, so I actually haven't gotten the chance to watch Around the Verse 3.11 yet, so shit. Figured I might as well stream it if some of you other guys haven't yet. How you guys doing? M3, NCB. Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. I'll give it another minute, maybe two, before I kind of dip into this. Have you guys seen this yet? Around the Verse? Is it any good? That's like a loaded question. Is it any good? So my dog's busy ripping up all my pillows. Check this out. Oh, never mind. I think in Star Citizen you can customize your eye color. How you guys doing today? Fireball, how you doing? The Merc. The Merc. Alright, I'll stop. Yeah. Is Chris off? Cool. Am I gonna have, you think I'll have a lot of questions like I normally do? Do any of you guys stream? Just a general streaming question. Any of you guys stream at 60 frames a second, 720p? I'm just kind of curious on the I don't know if it bogs shit down or something. So, no. Sorry, you guys came in late. My wife and I are in the busy kind of like moving and packing and shit like that. So I was getting down to the wire. So I haven't had time to check any of this cool stuff out. Pals of Mine stream. Very cool. No, so anyway, I haven't watched any of the or I haven't checked my Google Mail in a second. But I promise you right after this I will. Alright, let's check this out, 3.11. God, I hope it's good. Raj, I'm actually gonna do what I was talking about. I was actually gonna do a live kind of reaction stream, so you guys can like fire real time requests at me, and I can maybe fire some requests at you, and we can kind of do a little reaction party. I thought that'd be kind of cool. So that'll be a separate stream. But you're more than welcome to kind of stay for this. Looks like Chris is still not there. Where the hell is Chris? All right, let's watch this. Let me know if it's too loud for you guys. Wow, this has 113,000 views already.
Hey Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Around the Verse, where we take a look at Star Citizen's development. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Forrest Steffen.
To start things off, just wanted to welcome all of the newcomers to the game, and if you're thinking of joining, now's the time. This is the last week for the Super Hornet Free Fly. And if you haven't tried one yet for yourself, just click on the link at the top of our site to get further details on how to start flying. And
He's
beyond
like,
the PU Alpha and
but no link
Commander
appeared.
content available to play right now, we have a lot of other stuff in the pipe. You want to update everybody on what's happening?
So, about the character customization, CIG will allow you to customize your character. So yes, I think you'll be able to change the icon. Yeah, I gotta imagine they would. 60. Yeah, that's what I thought. 60 frames a second is really only.
Love to. So we have Alpha 2.6.
Useful for gaming.
Has been making some great progress with new things dropping in every single day. The Avocati have been hammering away with the new flight balancing, so watch out. Design has been wrapping up a few new missions for Crusader.
You know, I was thinking about this flight balancing. I was packing a box like 2 days ago, and I was thinking, all I could think about was like, oh, I wonder what's going on in Star Citizen World. Anyway, so what I was kind of thinking was, is there this whole new flight balance thing is meant to slow down everything, right? It's meant to, if I understood it correctly, it's kind of like, instead of like a whole bunch of fast-paced action, they want to kind of get it more closer, more personal, intimate dogfighting, right? So, do you guys remember the scene in Avatar? This might be a bad example, but the scene in Avatar where Michelle Rodriguez, right before she dies, she's in the copter or whatever, and she's doing kind of these left-right motions and stuff like that. Do you think the really agile fighters, I was kind of thinking about this, do you think the really agile fighters would very much be able to kind of strafe horizontally, or not horizontally, but right and left more so than everything being kind of a forward momentum type of dogfighting? I was kind of thinking about that the other day, and if they slow it down, then maybe they'll have an opportunity for some really maybe weak fighters, but strafing abilities. It's kind of interesting.
The music logic system is pretty much done. The ship team have 2 new ships that are feature complete.
Shalil, everybody likes video games. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, those 2 ships are the Herald and the Vanguard Hoplite. They're 2 pretty different ships, and they're pretty cool, and they'll be awesome additions to the game.
Oh, totally agree. On the Arena Commander front, Art have been polishing up some new item pickup system, and the pirates have been starting to really swarm about, so be careful. New cameras are in, showing off new sweet camera angles. There's just so much stuff.
Cool. We've also been doing a lot of
can't wait for those
internal
camera
playtests on Star Marine with the whole team and been getting great feedback. The fronted network refactor and network improvements are also expected to be wrapping up soon.
Yeah,
M3.
And,
do you know which
the Bug Smasher found a pretty
which ships
funny
can do
bug
that?
this
Mustang.
week where,
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We could actually teleport through space. I think it should be a feature, but you know.
Super cool. You can check that out on our Star Citizen YouTube channel. So now let's head over to our Frankfurt office for a studio update to look past 2.6 into 3.0.
That's correct.
Thanks, guys. I'm Brian Chambers,
How you doing,
Development
Spy?
Director from Foundry 42 Frankfurt. The road leading up to
This guy is all over the
was
place.
incredibly busy. It's always cool to show off our progress and get that out in front of you guys.
He's in every
And
video, I swear to
Support's
God.
been overwhelming for myself and the team. Team's back at it across all disciplines. Everybody's busy working. For this week's update, let's start with QA, where Melissa will give you some insight in how the QA department functions here in Frankfurt.
The Frankfurt QA team is currently made up of 3 testers, with 2 dedicated to testing the engine and 1 dedicated to testing Squadron 42 and FPS. We work closely with the development team, whether we're testing new code changes or investigating an existing issue. There are an array of different types of testing we do on a
QA
daily
is important.
basis, but test requests
Fireball,
are
do you
high
know
up
if
on our list of tasks that we do pretty regularly. So a test request is essentially a request
you could pull off those,
submitted by a developer who
you
would
think you
like
could
to
pull off
submit
those
code
nasty
changes that
maneuvers
could
with,
potentially break the build.
a mouse and
In
keyboard?
order to prevent this, the code will go through thorough testing where sometimes the entire game or only certain
Shield.
parts of the game will need
Sorry,
to be
man.
tested.
Yeah, this is a video
In this
game stream.
specific test, one of our engineers has made shadow and object optimization code changes. He provided us with a custom bin64 which contained his changes, and during our testing, we discovered a one-off crash and excessive shadow flickering throughout Homestead. We then compared our findings to the vanilla code version of the client and reported our final results to the developer. This process prevents new issues from being introduced into a build. However, the challenge we sometimes
this is
face
after the
is if there were
64-bit
any
conversion.
recent code changes to the same system the test request is meant to address, and then these changes were then picked up when
Yes,
the developer syncs
I'm
the
good.
latest code in Perforce to compile the bin64. It then becomes difficult
Shield,
to
this is
tell
a
which code is causing
totally
issues.
crowdsourced,
Regardless,
crowdfunded
all
game.
issues are reported,
Star
further
Citizen,
investigated, and fixed prior to submission, and the final result
I've
is a build
recently
that contains
fallen
improved
in love
shadows,
with.
no flickering, and no crashes. And this is what I like about being QA here in the Frankfurt office, being able to track down these issues and contribute to the process of fixing them as well together with the development team. It's a really rewarding experience, and I consider myself lucky to be on this team and contribute to the
QA,
development
man.
process.
QA gets the shit.
Thanks, Melissa. QA is always a huge part of development, especially with her and the team working with the engine team here. I don't always envy their job. but
Gundam,
they
I
do
only have
help
the
us
Aurora
dig
right
in
now.
and sort out any bugs that
I keep getting mixed messages on what to get.
For the next part of the update, let's
So I've
check
been just
in with our
hopping in
senior
other
VFX
people's
artist,
ships.
Caleb. He'll break down some of the VFX work they did for Homestead.
Ooh, VFX
Today I'm
feature.
going to give you a more comprehensive breakdown of the large sandstorm
Hi,
effect
David.
that was featured in the Homestead demo. This effect required a lot of collaboration with the audio and even the cinematics department to make it function properly within the engine. So here we are inside the editor with the Homestead level opened up. The sandstorm effect itself is actually fairly
Is that
simple.
lightning?
It's only made up of 3 different sprites.
That's sick. I didn't see that in the
There's
demo.
a thinner sand texture at the top of the effect, a thicker one down below, and also the lightning texture. The 2 sand textures also include normal maps as well as the optical flow maps for the frame blending. These optical flow maps give us a virtually unlimited frame rate for our textures. Because of this, we can slow down or speed up the effect
that's
without
sick.
the animation looking choppy. Something we actually do as the sandstorm approaches the player to increase the sense of foreboding and scale.
So they
The
can speed it
forward
up as it
motion of
gets
the
closer?
effect
That's
is actually
awesome.
controlled by track view. The blue line is the path that it follows.
Hold on. What do you think the scale is right there on that shot right there? Like from right to left. Are we talking like farther than the eye can see? It's hard to see the terrain.
As it approaches the player, there is also a fog volume entity that moves up from the ground.
Oh, the
This fog
right
volume
here.
is to help with the
That's cool.
transition as the sandstorm hits the player. However, it is also used as an optimization technique. When the player is inside the storm, we can disable the effect and enable a localized effect of
Shield,
sand
name is
whipping
Ben.
past the camera. By disabling the effect while it's hidden in the fog, we can sidestep some of the overdraw issues that can arise when the whole screen is filled with particles. As we move forward, all of these systems will be unified and controlled by our planetary weather system. Here we have the final effect running
That's sick.
inside the engine.
That is sick. That's like great out of a movie. Look at that. Okay, I gotta ask. So this is nitpicking. This is totally slow down the audio. This is totally nitpicking, but do you think there's gonna be any kind of physics interaction with this thing? Like, even if it's like pushing you back, like if like once the brunt of it hits you or something, like you get pushed back like a meter or something like that. I'm just picturing scenarios. What if you just happen to be on the edge of a cliff, if they have cliffs, and like there's some danger there. Like you need to get the hell away from the edge. Ah, God, that looks sick.
Thanks, Caleb. It always surprises me how much particles and effects help in bringing
Oh, I gotta
the
go
world
back and
alive.
see that.
It's-
Is when the whole screen is filled with particles. As we move forward, all of these systems will be unified and controlled by our planetary weather system. Here we have the final effect running inside the engine.
Dude, add on the dynamic sound effects. That's just awesome. It's just awesome.
Thanks, Caleb. It always surprises me how much particles and effects help in bringing the world alive. It's cool to see the progress.
Right, Colin? That's like
The rest of the team incredibly busy,
sprites.
as I mentioned, making great progress from cutscenes in Squadron 42 to weapons to design and so on. Another quick update is that the office expansion that we've had, we're now actively
Battle of the
in
Arm,
it.
yeah.
We're now actively here and working.
I
and
hope they toss in
functioning,
a
so I
little
hope
bit
to
of
show that off soon.
push.
So that wraps it up from Frankfurt, short and sweet. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Brian. He is a cool dude. He sounds like a cool
It's
dude.
pretty epic.
Didn't
It's like
one of you guys
something
said you
out
met
of
him, right?
Fury Road.
Let me scroll up
Yeah,
here.
Mad Max, awesome. Yeah, I mean, really, now that all this art and tech is coming online, we're able to develop some really interesting.
Fireball,
types
you met
of,
him at
gameplay
SitCon.
Environments, right?
Oh, you were at
even the
SitCon. Cool,
environment
dude.
wind can become
Was
much
there really
as
like
red
500
as,
people there?
You know, possibly another player.
There we go. Speaking of other players, let's now go to this week's community update with Tyler.
Sheil, you've been blown off a cliff in the Himalayas.
Hey everyone, Tyler Whitkin, community manager in the Austin, Texas studio.
And you
here
live to
bring
tell
this
about it?
week's community update. Now, as previously mentioned, and just as a reminder, this is the final week for the Fall Free Fly. So if you wanted a chance to fly the Anvil Super Hornet, you can click the link at the top of our website to find out more information. Now, speaking of free flies, racers, get ready. The Origin M50 will be made available to all subscribers throughout the month of November. Last weekend, the Star Citizen community in Germany came together to put on their own community-organized CitizenCon. This event had almost 500 people in attendance.
Fireball, are you in
Don't
this?
believe me? Check this out.
Greetings from Frankfurt.
Where are you? Fireball, where are you? Point yourself out. That'd be awesome. David, I got a Discord link. You can hit me up in Discord if you have that. Hold on, I just want to, before I go forward, I want to see if Fireball's in this video pan here. Oh, you're in the back. Oh, I see you. I see you. That's awesome.
Sauber, jetzt ist er mit Elania. Dankeschön. Wunderbar.
That's cool.
That's a whole lot of citizens, and if you didn't have the opportunity to watch it live, you can find out all the details on how the event went over at citizencon.de. And if you're interested in these type of events,
that's sick.
just a reminder to head over to barcitizen.sc.
Yeah, it's in the comments,
Check out
David.
the interactive map because it's very likely that there's an event in your area.
Bar
Now it's
Citizen,
time for this
New York
week's
City Bar
MVPs.
Citizen, December
Yes,
2nd.
plural, because this time
any
we
guys
don't
can
have
make it,
one, but 7
I'm heading there.
MVPs. So I want to give a huge congratulations to Sereth, Aveline, Valkyrie, Firemaster, Snow Crash, Can't Trip, and Mikiel81 for their
Holy shit,
exemplary efforts
10-person
on the
MVP.
RSI
Come here.
help desk. Now, for those of you not
Your
familiar
presence
with
was
what that
requested.
is,
Come
this
here.
is an RSI chat channel on our website where players can come together to ask or answer questions about the game. So congratulations again to all of you. You're this week's MVPs. Lastly, the week would not be complete without Reverse the Verse, so make sure to tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, where we're going to talk about everything that you saw on today's episode. Thanks again, everyone,
Sick.
for all your support, and we'll see you in the verse.
Moving back to our Frankfurt
Citizen
office,
Montreal
getting
2
procedural
November. Oh,
planets
that's cool.
working is a massive undertaking, one we can't possibly show.
You know, that's not far off. I mean, that's not that far. Have you guys had a Bar Citizen in Montreal before? I mean, honestly, it's only a couple hours from here.
In a single episode. So next up is the first of several segments we'll be doing to focus on procedural planet tech being developed in Frankfurt.
So on that note, let's take a look now at the ecosystem painting, the zone system, and some other cool features that Frankfurt has been working on for 3.0
And beyond.
So today we want to give you the first out of probably many deep dives into the core of what makes our planets tick and about the planet creation. And this is tech that is developed here mainly in Frankfurt by Marco, Sasha, Carsten, of course. Basically with the Homestead demo for CitizenCon, a practical test case of what we call the V2 planet tech, which is we are already basically at V3 now, so we kind of needed to say at one point
No, I
that
didn't.
is it for the demo, so we have a couple more features already in progress. And the Homestead demo, of course, was not just made because of our love of giant space worms, but also to have engineers and artists work on something that is basically a substantial test case so that we can mature our tools, our planet editor, or what we call it, the plan ed, and to
The plan
basically
ed.
arrive at something where the usability has grown into a mature tool set, but also the feature set, of course, with the massive object distribution,
Oh my God, how beautiful
vegetation,
is that, guys?
ecosystem painting, and terrain height map.
Working with our environment artist Pascal on the ecosystems themselves, which in the case of Homestead were actually only 5 distinct ones.
And my job on Homestead was as visual director, and for that I basically initialized the lighting and mood and overall feel of this, and then also worked
I initialized the lighting and
our
mood.
environment artist Pascal on the ecosystems.
24
themselves.
minutes.
And I
think.
basically also every day a couple of hours spent with Marco, Sasha, and Carsten on the toolset itself.
Hello, we are going to talk about planets today. Thanks to everyone on the Star Citizen subreddit and the CIG community forums for your positive feedback. We really appreciate it. Initially, we were not planning to have seamless transition
I play
from
outdoors.
space to planets into Star Citizen. Around September, we started rewriting from scratch the CryEngine terrain system. Here you can see my first experiment of a procedural planet without any atmosphere.
Oh, this is prior to the
at
engine
end of
switch, right? This
October
is the older stuff.
2015. Then this is our first test with atmosphere in November. Carsten Wenzer has been working on the atmosphere.
Shield, this isn't just a game. This is going to be a way of life.
Other engine features. And here is our first public update at the end of 2015, showing the first Delamar planet version. It was mostly procedurally based, but was already integrated into the editor, so you could place landing zones on top of the planet. In February 2016, we had the first man working on planet. At this stage, we still didn't have
see that
ground
video.
details, and we still had many precision issues, as you can see in the video. So during March and April, we made a lot of progress. We can see more details when zooming into the planet, and this is a video of the first buggy driving on the planet's surface.
Yeah, it's cool.
At this
Excellent.
stage, the planets were mostly procedural, and even though we were getting good results, it was becoming difficult to really customize the planets.
There was no diversity in the planets. It was either a big rocky planet, or a jungle planet, or a desert planet, but there was no variation in the ecosystems on this planet. And with V2, this changed. We introduced something new, which we call ecosystems. So when we talk about ecosystems,
Please
what
tell me
we
we're going to
mean
get these
is
tools, guys.
basically
That
You
looks
can think of
so-
it as kind of a level of its own. It's a piece of terrain, and it covers about 4 or 8 square kilometers, you could say. And each ecosystem contains...
Hold on. I mean, honestly, like, I'm sure they got a bunch of talented artists and stuff like that, but are they going to be able to compete with what the most talented people in the world can come up with? I don't know. But this is down the line. This is after hundreds of universes. I'm just saying. I just really want those tools way down the line.
contains many, many different kinds of assets which are created by the artists. Part of it is the terrain itself, like the information that defines how the terrain looks. Is it mountains, or do we have dunes, or do we have plateaus or canyons, and all this type of stuff. Then additionally to that, of course, you need all the ground textures that make up the surface of the terrain. Do you have like rocky ground or grassy ground and this type of stuff?
So it's just
And
a
then on top of that,
topographical...
Of course, you also need assets, all kinds of assets that need to be scattered in a procedural way. This cannot be done by hand.
We're talking
if you
2D,
think on
right?
a
This, so
global
there's
scale.
no...
So this is all
There's
of
gotta be
these
some
things
sort of
come
3D
into
element,
the
right?
ecosystem.
Or maybe
And
the
for
3D is the
this,
painting.
Sasha Hober developed their own
manual.
editor for the engine. And within this editor, we basically, all this information is accumulated and tweaked. We tweak the height of the mountains and where which texture belongs and which assets belong together on which surface, and all this type of stuff comes together in the planet editor in the engine. And once all these ecosystems are done, you can basically take your planet, which is more or less gray at the moment, and just pick some of these ecosystems and paint them over the planet. And this is basically how the terrain is generated in the end. Of course, when this is generated, you want to make sense of it. You know, you want to have ridge lines of mountains, and then behind you want to have some hills, and that goes.
I thought there was a lava world for a second.
Grassy lands or a desert or whatever.
So at CitizenCon 2016, we were supporting spherical terrain, seamless transition, runtime generation at 60 frames per second without any pre-processing, unrestricted view distance and planetary scale, plus different ecosystems, and the first version of procedural vegetation.
Yes,
as
caverns
well as hardware
for the
tessellation
absolute win.
and per pixel displacement. Going back in time a bit before Gamescom, here is a test showing
It looked
how
like it was just
Pascal
the
had
procedural was
quickly put
just based
together
off of
a Mars-looking planet, using a few ecosystems and changing some parameters like atmosphere colors and so on. So with just a few ecosystems and painting them on the planet through the planet editor, we can create many different type of environments and planet.
It's still going. Holy shit. Look at the detail. Okay.
Here I'm showing a bit of our work in progress.
That's pretty
features.
impressive.
One of
That's
of
really
the next
impressive.
steps for us is improving the procedural vegetation placement and object distribution. In this video clip, you can see trees and grass being rendered through the zone system, which Chris Bolt is going to talk about in a bit.
Yeah, and it was the mesh I saw. It just looked like lava from far away. Yeah.
So here you can see in this last video another work in progress feature, a rotating planet. The planet is actually rotating extremely fast, but at this scale, looks like it's not moving. But if you get very close, on top of this large static control tower, which is not moving, we can see the planet rotating very fast. Another interesting thing to notice is the ocean, which was worked on by Anis, one of our new hires.
But you're not gonna hold on.
The ocean is.
But you're not gonna actually. I mean, you're obviously not gonna see the rotation, right? So there's gonna be another. This is just demoing. This is as if your ship was still outside of the atmosphere, right? So this is, if you actually go into the atmosphere, I'm assuming there's the planetary physics would take over and you would start moving with the rotation. I'm assuming that. So that kind of sucks. So we're never actually going to see planetary rotations unless we just sit there in space and stare at a planet for an hour. Or nah, it'll be like a minute or something. But that actually doesn't suck. That's very cool.
Using the planet terrain patches with different displacement. This way we're getting adaptive subdivision computations for free, and we don't even need any extra geometry, memory usage for the ocean.
The original ocean was also just a flat terrain piece, more or less. And of course, for the planet, we also needed this to be a spherical object. And this feature made it in. You can see that we have proper waves.
Pretty good looking water.
Animation. It's nicely tessellated.
I have a water
shading
test. I have
working.
a hypercritical friend
Anis
who
has
bases
really put
all
a lot of work into it. And
next
the
generation
feature would
graphics
be
on
the
how
clouds.
well how good
clouds
the
are
water
still
looks.
in a very early stage. Carsten Wenzel
wanna
is
run
putting a
that
lot
past
of
him.
work into it, doing a lot of research. But you can already see some realistic behavior. You can see they are casting shadows. There are different thicknesses to them in certain areas, so there's less light penetrating.
Like thicknesses?
And speaking of light,
or thicknesses?
one thing that also changed quite a bit is the sun. Because this is a spherical object, you have...
That's cool, by the way, but hold on. So for the thicknesses, okay, you guys obviously know where my mind's going like this, right? Cloud City, right? Is it gonna be like? Is it gonna be like? Well, you know what I'm getting at. Are we gonna be able to have planets that are full of just clouds, just friggin' clouds everywhere, like Cloud City? Can I recreate Star Wars? That's Empire Strikes Back. I guess that's what I'm saying. Hold on, let me catch up on the conversation here. Eat that, No Man's Sky. If it moves in reality, you would not see it rotate. Yeah, stations in orbit. Eat that, dual universe. Rotation will be what makes the sun rise and sun set. I don't compare Star Citizen to other games, at least not that much, because Star Citizen, it really is a beast of its own. The more I learn about it, the more it's just like all these foundational systems they're building is just sick. I'll rewind it. 1888 TTT. Yeah, the fact that it's not a skybox, that's just awesome. Hold on, I just paused it for a second. I wanted to catch up on. You know there will be Sky City, one of the planets. It's volumetric like the Sandstorm. Yes. All right, cool. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So we'll be able to fly through clouds, not clip clouds. All right, cool. All right, let me get back to this.
And speaking of light, one thing that also changed quite a bit is the sun. Because this is a spherical object, you have different kinds of lighting all over the planet. So you cannot just simply say, okay, for this planet, I want to have daylight. I want things, whatever is
Look at the
happening.
dawn
on the planet
automatically
take
come
place
in.
sunset. Because depending on where you are on the planet, you have different lighting situations. And all this is now implemented. Depending on where you are, the atmospherics generate different effects.
Hold on, how
sunset,
guys,
obviously,
hold on.
everything
See if I can
turns
pause
red.
it right when he does it.
And during daylight, you have blue.
Look at that. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. Like, it's perfect. Like, the flare goes away. You just see the sun setting. And all that, there's no skybox. There's... I don't think they'll do something like that right off the bat. But you suggested some kind of community competition. Yeah, exactly. The sun also affects the planet in the background. It creates a rim. Look at the moon in the background and the light on it. Oh, that is... good call. I didn't even see that before. Right there, right? Guys, this is ridiculous. Like, they could sell this technology. They could just skip... I'm just theorizing here. They could just license this shit out to people and make billions. Hold on, I want to see this again.
Implemented, depending on where you are, the atmospherics generate different effects. At the sunset, obviously, everything turns red. And during daylight, you have a blue bounce light from the sky and all this type of stuff.
Like, oh, let's go
Hello
move toward it
everyone.
now.
I would
That's
like
sick.
to talk to you about the changes we did to our core technology, which allowed us to implement the planets as you have seen them during CitizenCon. One of the first components we changed was the job system. This system is responsible to distribute work, which must be done to compute a frame in a video game over multiple CPUs. This work is called jobs in our engine. The old approach was applicable for perhaps 3,000 to 5,000 jobs per frame, whereas the new one we can handle a very larger armor. This was realized mainly by utilizing the inherent parallelism of games, which is basically the smart way of saying that we
Hold on, I
have
wanna go
always
back to
more
that.
than one object to update. Furthermore, we changed the job system to better communicate with the operating system to allow for better usage of the available resources. We then built the zone system, which is a spatial object management system. Such a system is responsible to allow for an efficient way to query objects based on spatial properties. For example, finding objects visible inside a camera or overlapping with a box. The system initially replaced the old octave-based culling approach and is now used to store all kinds of objects within the world-space position. This system had two important characteristics. Being efficient, the system should scale well. We already have over 200,000 renderable objects present in Crusader. This is realized by ensuring that we use efficient data
200,000
structures and use a
objects.
processing layout which maps well to multiple cores with the help of the job system. Then the system should cope very efficiently with
I think he's reading off a
clusters of
card, too.
simultaneously moving objects. Here we use a novel approach of using multiple reference frames. The regular approach used in games is to store objects in a single coordinate system, the so-called world space. This world space position is then sent to the GPU as 32-bit coordinates and projected to the screen with a projection matrix. For Star Citizen, we cannot use this approach due to two reasons. The GPU can only process 32-bit floating point positions efficiently, but we need 64-bit positions for our large game world. We want to move kilometer-long spaceships and planets through space. In the old approach, this would mean updating the positions of all objects on, say, ships or planets, which is not possible in real time. So we did something else. At the highest level, we organize our world in a 64-bit position universe coordinate system. To render the object stored in it, we compute a camera relative position before we send the data to the GPU. This allows us to keep the real world as one
Someone
coordinate
translate
system
that.
by using the more efficient 32-bit position on GPU. To move objects around, we use multiple zones. A zone is its own coordinate system and hosts all objects which move together, like a spaceship or a planet. With this design, we can move an arbitrary large number of objects by just moving around the pivot of the coordinate system. Culling in such a system is implemented by converting the tested against objects into the zone space.
Okay. Hold on. So
This
each
so-
of the... oh, sorry, I gotta ask you a question. So in the beginning, you said that in the beginning they were only able to handle like 5,000, 3,000 to 5,000 jobs on screen. So I'm assuming like one of those bounding boxes, right? That represents an object. So the prior system under the 32-bit, well, and that's a separate thing probably. But they're able to handle more on-screen objects now, right? That's update number 1, and update number 2 is the 32-bit float system didn't allow, it wasn't a big enough screen to kind of crunch the numbers, right? So from here to here, yeah, okay, I get it. I think I get it.
With upset technologies, we had to advance for our goal of a living universe. Thank you.
That'll about do it for this week's episode. Remember to tune in for Reverse the Verse tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific or 3 p.m. GMT. We'll be back with the team in Germany to discuss procedural planets and more.
Awesome. And we also like to thank our subscribers. We wouldn't be able to show you all this cool stuff like the procedural tech and produce all these awesome shows without your continued support. So
that's what I think, Colin, too. It's kind of cool to see
And
everybody.
Until next week, we will see you.
I wonder if they're like,
Around the verse.
let's take turns. Let's take turns. Okay, wow, there's a lot of... good night, Shiloh. If you haven't left already. Sorry, man. Simply said, with that, we can have many more objects on the screen. Yeah, okay. I was interested in learning more about the 64-bit. It's my loose interpretation is 32-bit doesn't give enough... There's not enough numbers to represent a position way the hell that way, right? So 64 allows us to kind of fine-tune an exact number in order to hit that space. So that allows them to kind of create bigger universes. So I think I heard something like that in a previous video. It's probably all bullshit, and that's not at all how it works, but neat update. 32-bit system allows max 8 kilometers. Okay, cool. Got it. Anyway, is the reverse the verse worth a look, guys? I mean, you guys feel like sticking around for a little bit? Wife ain't due home for another half hour or so. All right, let me pop on reverse the verse here. God, this shit was so good looking, wasn't it? I did catch some of the Bug Smashers was pretty cool. I hope sometimes in the Bug Smashers, I hope they do something kind of like a 10-minute bug instead of a 5-minute bug. Bloody, I'm like a shitty JavaScript programmer. That's not my job. It's just something I dabble in, PHP and that stuff. So I feel like I can... That's a lot of jobs right there. That's even more jobs. Liam, sorry, I'm reading above. They grabbed some of the original CryEngine devs. By the way, I read in the news that CryEngine 5 is getting released. What's the we're off on our own. The Star Citizen is off on its own.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to.
Star Citizen is off on its own engine now, right? It's based off the CryEngine, but it's its own thing. So we don't. It's not like they have to update the engine with like CryEngine 5, right? It's essentially a totally different branch, so to speak, right? Right. Art now, right? That's what I'm saying.
Reverse the Verse from Frankfurt,
Later, Black
Germany, live. Today is October 28th, 2016. Yeah, I think so.
See, this guy's at everything.
Ryan Chambers, development director.
Not that I mind.
Founder 42 office.
It's pretty cool.
Thanks for tuning in. For those that don't know, Reverse the Verse is what we do the day after Around the Verse. It is a weekly live stream with the fans. We meet some of the people that were showing off content and explaining stuff in RtV, and it gives you guys an opportunity to ask questions, type them in.
All right, they rebuilt half of it. Okay.
Some more
Star
detail
Engine.
if you guys are
I keep forgetting
interested.
that's the name of it. Star Engine.
If you do have questions, if you go to robertspaceindustriescom in the chat section.
Fireball, you meant Pascal?
There.
That's Pascal,
Please
right?
put it in brackets. Put the word questions within brackets. That way we can easily filter them and get to them a lot quicker.
Someday I'm going to get an
This
actual
week,
question in on these guys.
We've had a good response to RtV. I woke up to tons of comments this morning. People said I looked incredibly tired. But,
no offense, I love the guy, but he does always look tired.
It was cool for us to be able to dive into the proc planets, the procedural work that we've done. So this week on Reverse the Verse, today we have two people. We have Hannes Appel, who is the director of cinematics and had a big hand in the visuals in Homestead.
Fireball, you said they showed you
also have Pascal
at
Muller,
SitCon. They showed you a sneak
senior
peek of
environment
something.
artist.
I forgot what that was.
So
was that
we'll
cool?
start with Pascal here. So, senior environment artist. What exactly do you do here? Like, what's your day to day, and what are you in charge of? What are you pushing on?
Well, when I started at Foundry 42, it was about a year ago, last September. Back then, we weren't really working on the procedural stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just an idea and a long-term goal. So I did like some space station stuff. I supported the guys in the UK because there wasn't a lot of environment artists here at the time.
You were telling me the other day the first asset? What was the very first asset?
Yeah, Ian, the art director from the UK. He came to me and he gave me like this white box mesh. It was really rough.
Switzerland.
He said, "Okay, dude, you have to."
Guys, I can't get that sunset.
See how you do, you know, with
the non-skybox. I can't get it out of my head.
So I did that, and I went through it. I finished it. I gave it to Ian.
It's incredible what they're achieving.
And
like
normally
that's,
when you make a game,
you know what that is? That's like
that's in the game.
That's like the raw power you feel.
It's like a couple of weeks later.
That's like the raw power I felt like with
console where every player goes to select his
when I
ship.
first saw like the atmospheric entry, like
so that was the first.
That's flexibility. Like that is like
started with us. So.
Foundational tech
that's cool. Now jump to today.
Pivots this game like in a whole different.
You're kind of in a rare position
class.
in a sense, as far as an environment artist or a senior environment artist. You've been primarily tasked with the tech team, with the engine team.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are doing a lot of big brain work to sort out how
you can tell by the
terrain's going to blend. So can you give us a little more about that? Like how's that been and working close with those guys?
Yeah. So basically, in the beginning, it was kind of tricky because it's like two worlds clashing. If you have art and code working together, so it takes some time to get used to like how they talk. Everyone, like one dude thinks in pictures and the other dude thinks in numbers. So it took a bit of time to get adjusted, but basically
Slack.
Just Marco and the guys, they kind of provide the code. I talk to them to like. I'm kind of like the bridge for the artist who's in the end going to work with the tools.
Yeah,
so I
that's
provide
what I mean.
all the stuff that's needed, like
okay, here, lay this out. Total role-playing scenario, right?
Just
like
generally give art feedback for like if I realize, okay, we want to achieve this.
Dude, there's gonna be like role players all over the place.
I
Like,
know, okay, we need this and that. So
and it was like this in like Star Wars
But
Galaxies
this
way
is a
back in the
visual
day, and
fidelity
obviously
that you-
EverQuest and all
Marco
those games.
himself obviously has
Like,
very high
people are gonna be like
standards as well.
Yeah, he does.
taking like
And,
in-game
yeah, together we try to
partners
find a
and
way
like
to
taking them
solve
out to
all
like
these issues.
sunset locations and stuff like that.
Good. Yeah,
It happened
I
all
always
the time in
see
in,
both Marco and
Star Wars Galaxies.
Carson
Date
at
nights.
your guys' desk, and
So-
sometimes voices get louder when you're getting excited and getting into
People
stuff,
got into it.
and, you know, but it's good. I mean, the progress you guys have made in such a short amount of time from the code first kind of getting live in engine into, you know, you look at what we did at Gamescom and then flash forward the amount of ecosystems we were able to build on this new planet for CitizenCon. I mean, I guess tell me about the kind of the iteration process and the speed, because I mean, obviously you need to ramp up, but how is it now as far as iterating and developing new stuff?
Sitcom in the QA panel.
I
don't
in
mind
the beginning
that
it's a lot of
you
R&D,
just did a
you
shout
know,
out
you
to
never really
ASM.
know what the final
But it was
product is
also
gonna
me
look
to
like.
inform
Yeah,
you.
of course, you have an idea, and Chris has an idea of what he wants.
Well,
Absolutely.
my on-air
And then we had
apologies to
the
you,
whole
Fireball.
V1 thing, which we basically went away from again because we saw, okay, kind of hitting certain limits. We cannot
Sorry, buddy.
continue with this tech. We have to take a different path.
ASN and I were
So,
talking on Discord,
yeah,
so
it's a lot of iteration.
I think that's why it was at the
and
forefront of
it's
my mind.
mostly- Yeah, it's kind of you can't really plan much ahead.
Yeah.
Like also for project management,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it
difficult.
gets difficult.
Because you never kind of give a deadline.
Well, no, and I think that's why it was an active decision that you were basically driven and tasked by the tech team.
Yeah.
They knew you guys needed that breathing room. They knew the code was there and solid, and we really had to work out how to get terrain to blend correctly and all that. So, let me jump to some of the questions. Some of them are coming in now. And if I ask you some we don't know,
Dude,
then
I
you
can't
just
tell
don't
you
know
guys how
yet, right?
refreshing
As an
Indian
environment
cinema is.
artist, and particularly on the procedural planets, how do you
Sorry,
tackle
I'm at a really
designing
bad place
each
with Hollywood right
ecosystem, knowing that they have to blend with each other in ways that you probably don't even know yet? So I know you're not necessarily not meaning traditional game design, but how are we laying this out? Because it's true, and we've talked about that too, where
The Aurora has a double bed.
But next thing you know, as we do it, this one needs to be next to here and here.
I never
and here.
realized that.
So how are those those edge cases and that blending? How is that working?
Total chick magnet that
I
ship
mean,
is.
the blending of different height maps in general, like if you have mountains and then you have sand next to it, it works. Like the technology-wise, it can be done really well. But
He's like, it just
in
works.
some cases, it just doesn't make sense. So, for example, if you have like a pitch black mountain and next to it you have white sand, it's obviously going to look a bit strange.
Yeah.
But this is then comes from the art direction.
Grim.
Say, okay, this doesn't look good. We just have to change something.
Fun fact, Raw Critics started as a
But
well,
basically,
didn't start,
in general,
but
we get concept.
we were
art from the
one of
UK.
the first
Our concept art is
Minecraft
sets
servers,
up all
public
these
Minecraft
biomes,
servers way
these
back in the day.
ecosystems, what they're going to look like.
You should check out some of the old
kind of takes them apart
videos.
and also shows you like how it's going to look like on a global scale, also on a detailed scale, what kind of vegetation there is and
That's
rocks
cool.
and all this type.
So when you guys are jumping into it, then you have a really good idea, at least what
I actually think
what
it's
your
still
target is
running.
after,
Yeah.
and then it's you working with tech to go. Cool.
I
how do
divorced
we
myself
achieve
from that side from a while ago.
Because sometimes we always hit a certain limit. What we did so far was very organic. Like Earth-like planets, we can get them looking pretty good. But now we are thinking of stuff like ArcCorp that's very mechanical. Everything. is
Yes.
like-
Okay, that was my
it's a
question.
huge cityscape, basically. So.
Do you think they're going to get into
we have to
procedural,
figure out
not
in
inorganic
certain ways
procedural
on
stuff?
How we achieve that. So before we go into production, we always make sure that we have the tech there that it can be used by
Absolutely.
the artists. Because in the end, we always need more than one dude. You cannot
Yes.
make the world with just one guy.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that goes back to kind of the tools and part of what you were showing off at ATV, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we can. We have tools to create the planet. We have tools to help with these ecosystems.
David,
We
you
still
never
need
know. I
assets
might get into
put
the
in
whole
here,
role-playing
right?
side of
and
things.
then on top of that, the environment team's going to go in and start handcrafting all this stuff with the level designers. So.
I dabbled in it in Star Wars back in
Another
the day.
question. Will we be
Can't
able to
think
see
of her name, though.
permanent or
Minnie.
lasting effects of weather in the environment, like lightning, damaged trees, etc.?
We're talking. I mean,
that's cool.
We have this plan that you have that the terrain changes if you have like big explosions. Like grenades and stuff like this goes up. You kind of have like a hole there, which is not going to be permanent because there's like thousands of people coming there and throwing their grenades. So it's going to go away.
Did you just confirm terrain? Hold on.
But we were also thinking about grenades and stuff like this goes up. You kind of have like a hole there, which the terrain changes if you have like big explosions. Like grenades and stuff like this goes up. You kind of have like a hole there.
I was just talking about terrain deformation, guys.
Like thousands of people.
You heard him. He's literally.
So it's going to go away after a while.
I think he just confirmed that. Hold on, I'm.
But we were also
freaking out here.
We're talking. I mean, we have this plan that you have that the terrain changes if you have like big explosions. Like grenades and stuff like this goes up. You kind of have like a hole there, which is not going to be permanent because there's like thousands of people coming there and throwing their grenades. So it's going to go away after a while. It's not going to be permanent.
Okay, so as I said before, they won't allow you to blow away a planet, but if you have a big like first-person war going on or some battle or something like that, the terrain could be all scarred and like scorched earth and craters everywhere. That's gonna be sick. That's gonna add a lot to the, and it'll all be procedural, and not procedural, but it'll all be based on the stuff that's being used, right? So it's not like it's gonna be scripted. Oh, that is sick.
But we were also thinking about if you want to harvest resources like hacking down trees and stuff like that, that the resources kind of shift after, like, say, for a couple of months, people have been chopping down all this wood, and so the density of the forest goes down after some time. So you can notice it, like, oh shit. Yeah. And then the landscape kind of does change, and you can see it visually.
Cool. That's cool.
Okay, sorry. Clarification on that. That sounds awesome too. So, by the nature of it, trees. If you keep cutting down trees, right? Sorry, I was just thinking. If you keep cutting down trees, the forest is actually going to look less populated anyway, right? So, I'm assuming you'll never run out of trees there to regenerate, like, or whatever you cut down will regenerate short term, but there's a larger scale reduction in the number of spawn points available if it's overlogged. Okay, that's cool though.
Another question which came through, we actually saw at SitCon out here in Germany. Can you tell us about the water? Do you know how much we'll be able to interact and stuff with the water? So, I mean, a lot of that is more on the design side, but as far as the environment side, maybe you can talk about water and what you've done so far.
Looks nice.
Yeah?
Looks good.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Hold on, I want to catch up on the conversation here. Oh, he worked on Rise. I remember that game. They tease cities to populate planets. Yep. I really hope they get large-scale developed player-generated environments. All right, David, you and I, we're going to do a double date. In fact, we're going to stream it. We're going to have Star Citizen's first public double date. I'm partly into roleplay, but if you take a close look at the Star Citizen community, everyone already does roleplay because everyone already thinks what job he'll do. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was talking about that. Don't get that exciting because it depends on where you are. You can't destroy every place. That's fine, but for scenarios like I was mentioning, like battlefields, it'll add a lot. You know what I mean? I can't dig out a cave, and have a fort underneath the ground, but it'll add a lot to, like, I don't know, like if you crash a ship into the planet, like in the side of a mountain, maybe something breaks off, or I don't know.
We had Anis working on that, primarily, right? Yeah.
No, Bron, I don't think you. Maybe you can exhaust resources. Maybe that'll be their That'll be their thing. That'll be an option for like mining spots. Actually, I think it should. They should actually exhaust, right, or run out. You know, you can't just sit on a location forever, right? But I'm just wondering if the whole visual thing is going to be, if it'll be visually reduced based on because you're using it. Like I cut down a tree, it's going to be one less tree in the overall look, or if it's just they're going to manually kind of just reduce the number of spawn points over time and keep regenerating what you cut down. I don't know, just something I'm thinking about. It's not a really big deal.
Yeah, he started a couple of months back, and that was like his first, his baby basically.
Yeah.
He's taking care of the ocean.
That's cool.
And so at the moment, visually, it's in a good place. We have all these tessellated three-dimensional waves.
Yeah.
Interaction-wise, there's not much going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we also have to take care of what's going on when you go underneath the water.
Absolutely.
And you need stuff like buoyancy. Like,
Water's a big deal.
What happens if you want to land with your ship and this type of stuff?
Yeah.
As an artist,
have they talked anything about like underwater
I mean,
vehicles? Imagine like you fly in,
we're not going to block.
open up the cargo bay, drop in your
It's not like you're
submersible,
gonna get to the water's edge and
just go
hit
explore.
An invisible wall, right? We know we're not going to do that, but
that's kind of cool.
Honestly, I don't know what we've done, what the design team has come up with, or what that roadmap is. But I know there's been discussions of what would we do underwater and how would it happen. So yeah, we'll see. All right, more questions. Will procedural generation be used on giant city planets like ArcCorp and all those very open-ended? How does that work? Maybe you could talk us through a bit on that.
We actually just started.
Is ArcCorp like Coruscant,
week
just all city, or is it just really big?
Figure out ideas. Can we do it with the planet terrain? Because if you do something like architecture is very different. You know, if it's organic, you have these random shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And in architecture, everything is very straight and angular.
Yeah.
And with this, with the tessellation of the terrain, you kind of can get away with certain looks, but you will never get this like convincing city of ArcCorp with massive towers and like skylines and this type of stuff. So what I would like to do in the future is prototype something that uses the object scattering, because all the objects on the planet will be scattered procedurally as well. So we will do something similar with really, really big objects, kind of scatter them over the planet.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know how happy Marco is with that. We'll have to figure out, like, does it work performance-wise and stuff.
Yeah, it seems really
on
intensive.
top of that, that's when also then level design comes in. They know what the player path is and where they're gonna, where they want the gameplay to exist. And cool.
Yeah, Colin. On that point, imagine if you have a ship that
your personal
can handle above and air and water.
You've
So
seen
you can just like
in Star Citizen. So I guess it could
go
be
into your
one
underwater hangar. That's cool.
You've touched or you haven't touched yet. What are you looking forward to playing around with the most?
Well, so far we've gone with Earth-like stuff. We have been looking at the latest pictures from NASA, from Mars, and they have a lot of cool, inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, I'm looking forward mostly to really alien planets.
Yeah.
Where you just land and you're like,
yeah, we were just that's what we were just talking about last night.
Oh, I gotta see that demo.
I mean, you can go really nuts with things like vegetation. You know, imagine you have like a different atmosphere. There's more oxygen.
Yeah.
Things grow like really big.
Yeah, in a sense, I mean, it gives you guys more creativity, right?
Yeah.
It's also a bit more of a challenge because the unknown, you still need to create all those elements that still feel like they fit within an environment. Although that environment is make believe, you still want those things to all seem like they're going to come from that same place.
Yeah, and it's the good thing because it's still artist driven. You know, it's not completely procedural.
Yeah.
So you still have the control of
890 jump would be awesome. So
this is how a tree looks in our world, and I'm just going to modify it, but it's still.
Grim, is that actually a thing? They make cyborgs now?
Okay, it grows like this, and it still has this believability to it.
Can you buy cyborgs? Can you use them as
shipmates
instead of AI people? Can you use
talking with you
cyborgs?
And we were doing stuff with ATV and going, okay, cool. Well, there's 5 ecosystems.
And they have certain advantages and disadvantages
and so on. And I asked you, I said, well, how many ecosystems are we going to have?
It's a good question. As
I was
many
gonna
as
say,
we need, I guess.
Yeah, and no, and that was your
Leave it
exact
open.
response, and I think that's absolutely true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we may have a certain level that we come up with within the next few months, and those are ones we're working with for the next 6 months or 8 months.
Yeah.
But as we venture into other planets and other systems and so on, and the alien ones, I mean, what kind of do you have? Snow alien ecosystem? You have,
shit.
right? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting as
I'm
we
actually
push
genuinely
along. It's gonna be
disappointed,
cool.
Grim.
So,
I mean, we're not really limited by the looks of it, asset creation and all this type of stuff. It's still the same. It's more just the tech to get it work on an entire planet.
Yeah,
Once this is
exactly.
there, you can really go crazy with the visuals.
cool, impressive stuff. So, awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time with us.
Thank you.
We're going to
break.
take a really quick break. When we
Called
come
it.
back, we will be back with.
Did you guys see the Vandal stuff?
Not
Criticorn, sorry. He's going to kill me. Board Gamer. He released a video the other day. I love this exclusive footage. He released a video yesterday or something, the Vandal stuff. Those ships look absolutely insane. Not to change the topic. I just thought of that. If we can go underwater, I would love to see the animation they come up with for a light speed warp from water. Oh my god, imagine if they really put some effort into it and whoever's on standby, like your friend or something, watches you launch, and there's just this huge plume of water that's just that would make it into every
Hey everyone,
fan video.
and welcome back. That was a really short break. Pascal's gone, and now you're here. So, our next guest is Hannes Appel. He is our director of cinematics here at Foundry 42 Frankfurt. So, I know what you do here, but why don't you explain to everyone else really kind of what you're owning?
This guy seems like he's like.
So I think one big part would be the.
Is that a Day of the Tentacle
narrative feedback, that feeds into all the cinematic scenes for Squadron 42 that we actually go to shoot
no,
at the
that's not-
Imaginarium.
that's Day of the
So
Tentacle,
I would
right?
accompany Chris as a kind of co-director. He's basically directing the actors while I'm making sure that the staging is correct and lighting looks good, and I'm basically like a virtual director of photography.
So you were basically well, not basically, you were there directing with Chris basically every speaking role bit for Squadron, right? Yeah.
And we had like main shoot last year, and then another pickup shoot in May, July this year. I think we basically have 95% of everything now, or 98%.
But ultimately, I mean, as director of cinematics, primarily you are responsible for all of the cutscenes for Squadron 42.
I'm leading the team here, and we are making sure that the PCAP gets integrated properly into our scenes.
Yeah.
And it's basically a bit tricky with our game because it's not just pre-rendered cinematics.
I was going to look up
achieve
Day of
most
the Tentacle.
of
It's
them
been
in real
forever.
time. So it's a constant back and forth and handover with the designers that actually make it happen so that we can trigger it from AI and back and forth.
That's cool. Let me kick off some of the first questions. So, Squadron 42. You were at the shoot for what, probably a total of 4 months over the last year, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you say that experience was? I mean, I was fortunate to be there a bit
You
with
got to
Gary Oldman,
meet Mark Hamill, Gary
Strong,
Oldman.
and
That's
so
cool.
on. And
I mean, I'm sure they
Gillian
all
Anderson
did.
shows up.
Yeah, no, I had the full range of emotions.
Who'd you guys rather meet?
This is basically
Gary
was
Oldman
from living the
or
dream
Mark
to,
Hamill?
I can't believe I'm
And
still
you have to
stuck
pick
here
one.
because it was like so long.
And
So
why?
I had like everything going on, but it was amazing. Like especially my favorite was I think Mark. Both Marks were great, and Gillian of course. And just seeing them putting on this suit, that humbling suit, which is like it's not totally not comforting. And just playing these roles that we had on the scripts for so long on these pages, and actually getting into these roles in a proper way. Like Gary Oldman was actually asking things about how do the Vandals speak and what is their whole background and
Quantum from
I
Atlas.
do still
I do remember
the
them
first
saying
time
that. Shit.
Oldman stepped up on the podium
I do remember
for his
that.
very first shot on his very first day. and he was just
Damn it.
rehearsing, but he was in full character.
Oh yeah.
And everybody was running around, like, you know, there's 40 people on set moving everything around, and he gave his thing in full volume, and everybody stopped. I mean, the place was,
because he's a presence.
the place was incredible. It was just perfectly quiet, and he ran through the entire thing. It was awesome.
Yeah, and then we were like, did we actually record this?
Yes, exactly. So,
like, Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, but Gary Oldman has some
Homestead.
legendary
So-
roles, man. He commands.
Homestead, I mean, you were basically were in a sense the creative director, the visual director.
Like, his
on
Air
it,
Force
in
One
a
bad
sense,
guy is
right?
still one of my favorite
How
bad guys
did-
for some reason.
Tell us about kind of how it started and how it
Fifth
became what it
Element?
was.
Come on.
I think one goal was we wanted to see how mature our planet tools are when they are actually touched upon by artists
Yeah.
and they actually create something substantial
Mark
with it that
Oldman.
is actually playable.
Yeah.
So this is where the idea for Homestead came from. And then we basically went, okay, do we really want full jungle already? And we wanted to kind of keep this for later because also our asset pool was like basically not full jungle already. So we were like, first, let's do lots of jungle and trees. And now let's move this to later. And then we were like, okay, what can we really do now that looks really great already, which would be like an arid desert planet, but also savanna highlands. So we choose kind of like if you would go to Tanzania, Kilimanjaro style landscape.
yeah.
So we picked that, and from then it was basically working with.
Yeah, I forgot about Dracula. You're absolutely right.
And Sasha every day, making sure that newest features are stable and make sense.
Grim,
for
that's
what
my
the
thing though,
artists need.
but
But
it's
that-
Mark
that
Hamill,
kinda-
you know?
It started off really kind of as a test bed, though,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, let's make a demo. It was cool.
Yeah,
we need
that
to
cast
test out
is
these
stacked.
things. I mean, just as we were talking with Pascal, Pascal had the R&D a tremendous amount to say, okay, how's this terrain going to work? So you guys basically grabbed it, but then when did it switch from like, okay, here's our test bed to, all right, cool, we're going to show this off, and we'll dial in some mission stuff as examples.
I think this just became natural because we wanted to
Great
make
question.
sure that if we have transitions from 3 ecosystems into each other, like we start off on a mountain range, go to a plateau,
Jillian?
rocky, and then into a desert, that this feels cool also if you traverse it as a player. And then we invented some kind of mission goals that you would have. In
Mark
different
Strong
rooms
is
and
the
you actually
shit.
Do this
To
stuff.
push you through
And
the
then
space.
Todd came on board.
I can't remember what I
and
just
made
watched
that
with
the
him in
proper
it. It was
PU
something, maybe
design, like a
Netflix or something.
proper mission design.
It's cool.
And yeah, it basically just evolved naturally.
That's awesome.
Oh, you know what it was? It was a horrible movie.
Let me dig into some questions, see what's
The
coming
Sacha Baron
through.
Cohen movie. That's what it was.
I
mean,
we have one
he
in
was good.
regards to cinematics and faces. Will we see the same quality level of faces in the cinematics and in game as well?
Yes. Like the only difference is always what is your field of view? How close can you get to the guy? Is depth of field on? What is the lighting? These are the same assets. We are not switching to another. type
There's some
of
back
asset
end
if you're
tech.
in
If
game.
you're 50 feet away from a character, they're not going to put all the detail
That's
into
fairly rare.
the character, right?
Right. At least in my experience.
So there's some tech
you know, hey,
in place there. If you
cinematic,
get closer,
cool, now we have a
the
different LOD
higher
for the
res
head that's-
images
that's
are
crazy high.
streamed in.
or Here's the special cutscene head that we're swapping
I'm assuming.
in, but he's absolutely right. I mean, our faces are the faces are the faces and they need to be able to hold up from a distance, and then you need to be able to get up close and see them as well.
Yeah, Grim.
Yeah, they're actually so detailed in some cases where our current accessories for the faces are lower detailed than the actual faces. So they are very detailed.
They're keeping one big name under wraps.
In game, you need to really bump into them really close to enjoy the detail that they can offer, which is great.
Let's see what else we have here. What departments in CIG contribute most to the cinematics, and what is it that they contribute?
I mean, it's definitely character department and animation department, I would say.
Yeah.
Like constant back and forth. with
That's what I feel like,
character
Grim. We're gonna get
department
like.
Look, here's some
Do you
penetration.
realize that it was only about 2
how
weeks
can we
ago I
fix the
realized
Snoopy cap and what is with the hair and all kinds of things with the character department.
I realized that
animation,
Squadron
of course,
42
because
was a
it's
totally separate
actually
entity.
The raw material of what we
Like
actually
nobody
use in
knows
cinema-
that. Like anyone not
cinematics
familiar with the
without
game,
animation,
nobody knows that.
we wouldn't have anything. Like we could just show ships drifting around and the characters would be static T-pose.
Of course.
And then, of course, there is a certain part that is kind of tool side R&D because, for example, our ships need to move in a proper way in cinematics that is kind of puppeteered and almost like remote control. So there's this part of the equation as well.
Oh, I stepped on you.
And we have a lot of those guys. I mean, and not necessarily the disciplines there, but when
So one of
characters
the
are
dogs just
created
literally
and so
hangs
on,
out,
things
like,
get
right under
funneled
my
here,
feet.
and Hannes
I keep forgetting, like,
is
stepping
working with
on-
those various
stepping on her
studios. Then a lot of things end up getting assembled here, though. I mean, with you and with our lead cinematic designer and the animators here in Frankfurt, you guys end up cramming it all together
No,
and
jeez.
throwing cameras and lighting it and the whole bit. Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah, we
struggling
actually
through
did,
Luke Cage
lots
right
of
now.
R&Ding as well on the animation side when it came to what we showed at Gamescom with Miles Eckhart. This was also done by our animation department here that is attached to cinematics.
Here's another
I did watch
question.
Black Mirror,
The
though.
area we saw in the Homestead demo, is that the only area that's populated with content at the moment? Or are there other sections we
Ooh.
haven't seen with equal
question.
or lesser amount of
How much work have you
things
done?
such as
That's
craft
essentially what
ships,
it's asking.
buildings, etc.
How much work on the planet?
So what we have is we have basically two types of dressing currently with our Planet Editor. One is we can just populate everything with certain rule set for rocks and trees and little bushes and everything.
What's
that's
dark
totally
matter?
automatic. So
Like,
if
you got
go
me
to
thinking
a
about it.
different
I've never heard of
location
that.
on the globe and basically jump into a forest, it looks populated already.
Yeah.
But there's of course like the content currently needs to be hand placed. Like if there's a crashed ship, we hand place it in a certain area that we find suitable. So there's a real kind of sense of adventure going on if you have this 1,000 kilometer diameter planet in front of you and then you're actually scouting. You're actually flying around like this would be awesome as a landing site for pirates, or this could and then we will basically have these bubbles of content.
Oh, I want to pause for a second. Fireball, on your point where it's interesting that they'll react to you, like if some person will talk to you and you look in the other direction, the NPC can be angry about it, and because you acted like you ignored them. You think they'll store stuff like that long term, meaning that character will be pissed off at you unless you give them a gift or something? No, but pissed off at you for like a week or two after that. You think they'll store data like that for long term?
Like a crashed javelin or a crashed little cutlass, whatever. And these get currently at least hand placed. We are also thinking about distributing them logically, of course, because planets are so big.
Of course.
But this is ongoing. So they
they're
need to do
thinking
lots
about
of
procedurally
R&D for
generating
that
all
we
the-
basically don't place a cutlass into some kind of either it's
debris
floating in the air then or it's in a canyon that you can't reach. There needs to be a certain logic rule set for that it actually works properly and reliable.
That's cool. Switching back to
Still, I hope they do that
for a minute.
responsibly, so it doesn't look like
I'm pausing just because I don't know how to phrase questions.
There's a
so
ship
don't give
every 3
anything
miles
away,
or something.
right? But I guess in general, for
like it should feel. Oh my god, I
the
found something.
cinematics and that
you
team,
come
the
across
R&D
one
and
of
the
those.
prep to make sure things are rolling the way you guys need. How's that moving? I mean, are you confident in where things are that you're pushing forward? And
yeah, I'm definitely confident. I mean, the number of scenes we have is crazy high.
Yeah, but we knew that for a while. Yeah.
Lost meets Firefly. That sounds
there's
awesome.
Lots of things going on, but for example, we have lots of scenes that are comms calls, and these comms calls are kind of easy to set up. So there's a big chunk that is comms calls. Then there's lots of scenes that are kind of drifting in gameplay territory where we are also just helping out or supporting. And then, of course, there's a big bulk of scenes that are like the social interaction interstitial scenes during each chapter, which is a big part of the story. And then a kind of small part, but very important part is the full-on filmic cinematics, which is the stuff that is the most fun. So
I was going to say, those are the ones where I think you always get excited about the most, right?
No, if I have control over the camera, I'm in love. So because then I can get really close to the characters, I can change my lenses and everything. But our rule set for the game,
I like that. He has confidence. He's like,
if we can do
he's
it,
like the quarterback. He's like, put the ball in my hand. I'll take care of this.
We still stay in the player's eyes. But we have some cases where if the player is not present in a scene, yes, we will cut to this, and then we can cut to it filming.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, that's interesting to note that we're.
Hold on, real quick. You guys are still talking about the storage. Think about that though. Let's just hypothetically say there's 10,000 NPCs that you interact with, and there's maybe 1 million players or something. I don't know. Every one of those interacts with each of those 10,000 players. I guess it's doable. Really, all you have to. It'd be like they could simplify it to like an integer, right? So 0 equals hate, 1 equals 2 equals So they could keep it probably low overhead. Okay. All right.
Doing as much as we can to keep control in the player's hands.
Sorry, that was
And
me
I
thinking
even
like
know
a
there were
programmer.
some, as we were talking them through, where we kind of had to take control away from the player, but we didn't want to completely, so we put them on rails, right? But again, there's so many of these that are interactive, if you will, right?
I think we have
like
the
somebody
full-
approaches you and, hey, I can go this way and hear part of the story. I can go that way and come back to this later if I want, but it's still, you're making a choice, and whatever choice you make, something new clicks off and you run down that route, right?
I'm fighting a constant fight. Like some gamers out there probably are like, oh god, this guy's a cinematic guy. He will fight
I watched
for
the first
quick time
two
events
episodes
and
of
kind of
Defiance.
framing dead bodies instead of actually discovering them and stuff like this. But there's this back and forth between design and our department where we went through these scenes and like, does it make sense to take away the camera for a certain bit and only give you look control, or do we want to give you full freedom, but then can we funnel the player into a certain view? There's an ongoing process basically. But I would say I'm happy about the balance that we have in the game.
Good.
It's definitely not something that's like constantly on rails or complete freedom.
Okay, so they're gonna funnel you.
Another
a little
question: what tools do you guys use for creating cinematics, or is it 100% CryEngine?
I mean, camera shake, all this stuff, all the cameras get set up in CryEngine. The characters get set up in CryEngine. Of course, we're using Maya to feed the animation into CryEngine.
And part of Motion Builder
I think,
at times.
yes, part of Motion Builder. I mean, of course, we do texture work in, like, certain assets are then done in, what's it called, Substance Painter. If they're
But primarily,
but it's basically, it's all like we are not doing. We have a timeline tool in the engine, so we are not in need to actually stage to cinematics in Maya with a camera or something. Like
exactly.
this is.
I didn't know
really
that.
big
They can
advantage
do
of
all
our
this
engine
work
as
right in
well,
the
and we should take use of it.
There were two questions that just came in. They kind of just answered a little bit. It says, in scenes, will they be full on video style, or will the players just watching, or you be able to still walk
a
or
whole
look around as the player?
week or two on AI would be kind
I
of
mean,
cool.
we kind of answered this, but basically the rule of thumb is if the player is present and he's not knocked out or something, then
Like
it's
run us
fine.
through all the scenarios.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's
can we
at least having look freedom? Most of the time, he has full freedom. Like when conversations happens, we will at a maximum lock the player in soft lock. Like he can still back away from the conversation. But some important things, like you get a briefing with Mark Hamill in the briefing room, we actually sit you down in the chair to watch the briefing.
I mean, there's certain elements I think that we need to give the player in order for them to move, and even if that's just a few.
but
they
like
need
Gary
that
Oldman's
information.
speech,
They
wouldn't it be
know
cool if
that
he could just like be walking
they better
around
do this thing or this
the
bad
hangar?
thing's
Was it
gonna
in a
happen.
hangar?
You actually have
But the
some
hangar when
kind of-
he's giving the speech,
like
so you
our
can
captains for the hub
you can
ships,
see
they
everyone
will
reacting. You
have-
can see
at
all
least
like
we
the
capture
soldiers
it,
being
and
like.
it's pretty cool. Like if you behave,
I hope they do stuff like
too
that.
much like a jackass on board.
Don't
and
be
not like a
afraid
military officer,
to give us
then
big
you
moments.
land
Give
on
us
the bridge
control
and
over the big
guys
moments.
basically, like, I had high expectations for you, and you disappointed them all.
That'd be cool.
So there will definitely be the opportunity to also behave like a creep or
They hired
a
linguists?
bunny hopping idiot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But in some crucial scenes where we want to get the story across, we say no. Like we don't want to have in a.
Is it going to be a key show? Is it going to be
something in the players consume like?
Yeah. One question that I've heard a couple times.
Keisho, is it going to be a similar system? Or we're just all theorizing, right? But I think it's going to be like No Man's Sky, where words. Well, it's all voice. It's all voice, right? So if we learn the language, is it going to turn into English or whatever native language you have set for the game? Interesting. Like it's not just going to be text, right? Like this is a heavily voiced game. Well, even in the persistent universe, right? NPCs are going to be using voice. So I wonder how learning languages will work.
We put out the speech months ago.
Exactly.
It's been quite a while.
I don't want to listen to Gary Oldman's speech. I'm fucking hungry.
Wow. And some people were criticizing a bit, going, "Oh, quality."
And you hear like cheers in the background.
What
the whole
would you say from where we are now?
Space station's going crazy. And
versus what we put out there. What percentage of at the quality
your armor
bar did that hit for you as far as like facial performance and so on?
I mean, the performance itself was pretty good, but we had lots of technical issues. Like I can name a few, like I think some normals on his face were inverted. We had wrong type of skinning. The hair was
I will hit you up, David,
really
I promise.
not good. And
Thanks
his
for stopping
uniform
by.
was just the first pass. So from an asset point of view, it was not really that great. So I would probably say facial performance maybe 85% or something, or 80%. And an asset performance maybe 60, or for what the asset actually looks like 60%. So he looks much better now. I want to actually, of course, at one point I need to go back and re-render this, because this will also be game content that you can actually view on TV screens around the ships. So it will be.
They're going to re-render that whole sequence. That's cool. Well, I mean, obviously, the character models have come along.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is I've seen things deforming a lot better, and new shaders on the eyes, and once you see things actually firing off the way that they need to, as a one-to-one, it's been some of the stuff I've seen. It's been nuts.
Our problem is always we kind of make it look polished, but of course there's still, because it's an ongoing process, there's lots of things that you still need to work out, or technical things. We just, for example, a month ago, we got something really amazing from Jeff, one of the graphics programmers. So before that, in CryEngine, the eye shader was always just giving these little dots, no matter how big the light source was. And now we have, if there's a big area light in front of the...
Dude, Dothraki is a cool language. That's actually really exciting.
Yeah, I saw that at your desk the other day for the first time.
Way better than before. Before it was always these
Well, it's amazing to me how just that simple thing, when I walked on and saw that face on your screen, it's immediately noticeable. Right? It's amazing how just kind of that little detail, you're like, oh, and it just, sometimes it adds something where you're like, wait, what's different? Right? You may not even know and recognize it.
Yeah, the eyes especially. You always know that something's wrong with them, but you cannot really tell. The eyes is something that humans, since they are babies, they immediately can recognize what's off there. Or it's just...
That's cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time. I know you're always stupid busy.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool.
Stupid busy.
Some stuff, quick community updates. We have Free Fly going on right now. It ends
That's
on
cool.
Monday.
There's a lot of little touches like that. Like this guy did this,
this
guy did
account,
this.
you can try out the Super Hornet. If you don't have one, if you don't have an account, you can go register one for free and jump in.
So the voice might, the voice might be the same, but the subtitles might change to your native language.
Fowler art contest underway.
That might be how they handle it.
If you go to our website,
you think it'll be subtitles? Okay.
RobotspaceIndustries.com, you'll be able to see the details there. You design your own, you post it on the forums, and it's a contest that there's cool prizes both for the winner and a few runner-ups. And then winners will be announced on our live stream, our anniversary.
French Vendu.
Speaking of our anniversary live stream, we also, during the live stream, the fans are holding a Bar Citizen in Montreal, Canada. And word is that a lot of the Turbulent guys were going to go and hang out. And
I kind of wish New York City got something together for that.
You have the opportunity to ask.
I think set up my computer there or something, and
just relax.
My laptop and
on the forums right now.
Stream it live.
There's some stuff where people are saying we could prepare some questions ahead of time. So
that'd be cool.
If you guys are in the area, anybody out in Canada near Montreal, want to check them out, that should be cool. That wraps
that
up
again. Montreal's not that far away.
Thanks again. We appreciate all the support from the work that we're putting out. Across from all the studios, we're working extremely hard. We're able to put out this content from
Chris Roberts worked on several
your guys'
movies.
Support. So
well,
yes,
obviously Wing
thank
Commander,
you, and we'll see you next time.
That was cool. People will know Klingon. You don't need to learn Vandaloo. The only thing to understand is... Dude, did you guys... I don't know if you heard me earlier, but those ships look absolutely ridiculous. I watched... I never saw the original leaked video or whatever, but Board Gamer's video on the Vandal ships are just sick. Like, absolutely sick. Like, one of them actually looks like Final Fantasy Airship, the big one. I don't know. It's just... There's a lot of cool stuff about that. Record it for your audience overseas. That would be cool. I think I'm gonna talk to the guys about. I think I got them interested in a trailer, and we're gonna do a Star Citizen. We might do a Star Citizen trailer for, not Star Citizen, Bar Citizen trailer for the New York City. I mean, why not up the game, right? Let's have an official trailer for the December 2nd event. But yeah, I'm gonna take a lot of footage there too, so we can kind of check that out. Acid Jazz. There was some cool. There was some really, really cool stuff in there. That physics question, I'm kind of interested in that physics question. Are we going to be affected? I know we take damage by like the sandstorms, and think of like an avalanche or lightning storm. I don't know, wind, like a windstorm. Hurricane. Why not hurricane? Well, that's a sandstorm, I guess. But are we going to get pushed around maybe a little bit? That'd be kind of a nice little touch. Even if it's like just very minor, it'd be a nice touch. Or it's just totally useless and we don't need it. The detail on the... I mean, we saw it before, but the detail... It got really close to that liquor bottle. So the new textures being streamed in as you get closer, that was really impressive. I'm trying to think what else we... You should definitely check out the Bulkheads Star Citizen Machinima if you haven't already. All community made. I have friends who do some of the voices. Dude, Star Citizen community is just one big group of community to sharing shit with each other. Will it be called Vanduul? Is it Vanduul? Vanduul is what's called. That Kingship. Yes, the Kingship. That's the one that looks insane. And also has a name like Kingship. Like, who the hell? The cloud width, that's awesome. One of you guys mentioned volumetric fireball. I think it was you mentioned volumetric clouds, so we can get our whole Cloud City groove going on. That's pretty cool. The planet rotations, that was kind of neat to see. That was really cool, actually. In the Homestead demo, the pilot of the Dragonfly had to fight the wind hitting him. I gotta go back and look at that. Like, I don't remember that. Like, I remember the shit flying off the top, but CIG always goes hat. They try to make it as realistic possible, yeah. But yeah. Besides that, the whole let's throw away the notion that this is some sort of sandbox. That was a great way. I sent that video to actually a friend, and they immediately picked up the old video. Yeah, Homestead. Hold on. CJ always does that. They try to make it look realistic as possible. The old I sent the old the demo video to my friend of the planets, and they immediately picked up the free I'm so totally drawing a blank here. The free system. This is the guy that I've been trying to get into the game for a while now, so it's kind of interesting. Point being, this is really kind of bringing some people on board. The whole planetary system in the CitizenCon demo was very appealing to some new people. So just like Gamescom brought me in, CitizenCon is actually bringing me some new people in as well. It's pretty cool. Wasn't pointed out in the stream, but people near the guy could see the stick moving. Could see the stick moving to keep it straight. Huh. The hook at the front of the Kingship looks like it fires, and there's 2 spools of cord. Oh, so we're talking a little harpoon action. We can real time tractor beam, physically tractor beam some of these ships in. That's pretty cool. Kingfisher ships. Fireball. Oh yeah, you're in the UK, right? You're in Germany, right? Terrain deformation. Sorry, I'm still trying to go through everything I learned here. Terrain deformation was really cool. That was a confirmation. He didn't say it was a confirmation, but I'm going to take it as a confirmation. No, that's really cool. Even if it's temporary deformations of the land, that's going to add a lot to CPU processing. No, it's going to add a lot to the actual space whale hunting. Yeah. Those are intimidating looking ships. Like, if you see one of those coming at you, it's going to be... I'm going to shit my pants. Resources. The lightning hits and the resources disappearing. That was an interesting metric too, which is kind of cool. Anyway. That was fun. Switzerland on board. Was the community, what was it? The let's go back to the Star Citizen page. Was the community subscriber? Was a subscriber town hall? I have to start dinner right now before the wife gets pissed. Meaning I'm gonna order from Seamless. I'm gonna order some tacos. I'm gonna unwrap them. I'm gonna put them on a plate. I'm gonna like add some custom garnish, and I'm gonna impress her with Mexican night. No, but is the October subscriber town hall? Was that? It's like 53 minutes long. I wonder if that. I'll watch that later tonight. If I spot a Vandal ship, I'll call my org, and we'll put some holes in it with torpedoes and shit. Southern California, Switzerland. I'm not sure how how they dig into the hulls of the ship is going to work. You think we'll get all the cool like little like breakage and stuff like that, and like, well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, right? The damage deformation on the ships is supposed to be next level, right? So maybe if a harpoon goes into a ship, you're going to see a hole, and you're going to see very splintered debris coming off it. That's cool. Yeah, like A-Wing, good call. Alright, that was fun. Alright, guys. Any last questions? Before I attempt my dinner mutiny? I appreciate you guys joining. Did you hear the beep? that was her. Not sure how. Yeah. All right. That was cool. The damage model could allow it to show a hole that you did with a harpoon. Yeah, that's what I figured. All right, guys. Do you guys like the live stream kind of viewings of this? Like usually I do like a video and it's like a reaction video. Only an info. Read your Gmail. I promise. As soon as I'm gonna get off this while I'm cooking, I'm gonna read some Gmail action. Okay. No last questions. We've been watching videos for a while. It's great to catch you live. Hey, cool. I appreciate you guys coming. By the way, if any of you guys are streamers, like let me know. We can do some dual stream. Hell yeah. Some dual stream reactions or some back and forth here. All right, guys. Appreciate you joining. Hope you guys have a wonderful night, morning, sleep. Fireball, I hope you take some sleeping medication and work it out. I hope you don't got to work in the morning. Grim, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. All right. Maybe I can do it less than 5 days. I think that was like 5 days ago, right? Yeah. Maybe I could do it within a day or two. All you guys probably already seen this, so it'd be kind of cool to watch it together. Hell yeah. Dude, this community, I swear to God, this is the best community. Like, even, I'll even say this, like, Star Wars Galaxy was my game, you know what I mean? Like, that was, I know you guys are probably sick of me going back to that, like, but that was, like, the shit. That game was awesome, like, the economy, everything. But the community here, like, honestly, the community here, like, the community was always pretty good lately, but it was always, like, it was old school, right? So it was very forum-based, so all this streaming shit, like, all this stuff is just, a lot closer. Like, I never went to a bar citizen for Star Wars, you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, I could have sworn it was, I guess, yeah, you're only 5 hours ahead. Anyway, all right, guys. Peace out. Wish me luck. Maybe I'll do a burrito.